All right, got the got the audio working. Ugh, tongue twister already. All right, anyway, so hello, buzzing folks. It's Queen Bursty again, back in action. And yeah, this was supposed to be a stream yesterday, but I was so exhausted from the workout yesterday, and that tends to happen. Like, after you work out, you do get pretty exhausted, and so your body's telling you to rest and stuff like that. As long as you eat, of course. But anyway, so how's everybody doing? And of course, my plan to go work out was canceled today due to the rain. It's very weird. But anyway, so this is not what this video is about. So in this stream, I'm gonna share you guys in a story time about like what life was like for me growing up as a neurodivergent individual. It wasn't easy, but I surpassed it, and that gave me strength. Hey there, shabby one. Good to see you. Glad you could show up for this interesting story time. So basically, at a very young age, I was diagnosed with autism at a very young age. And it was during a time in the generation where it wasn't really like talked about and wasn't really well known. And so basically, everybody saw that my personality traits or everything like that was like weird or annoying in a way. Because, the repetitiveness and the echolalia and stuff like that. But anyway, I'll start off with the beginning so it could be very simple. So it started off when I was around like 3 or 4 or 5 years old. I was diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder, or PDD as it's called for short, or as it's known nowadays, it's called autism spectrum disorder. So when I was diagnosed with that, I pretty much started showing signs of that at a very early age, like when I was oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Like when I was doing repetitive things, like repetitive movements, repeating everything, like from TV shows or cartoons. And basically, I still do that to this day, but I do it in my head though, not out loud like how I used to when I was little. And so, oh hey there, Gio, how you doing? And so, at that age, while I was growing up, I started going to school, and let's just say those days in school, they were a mixture of fun, but also at the same time kind of difficult. Especially since during that time, the peers, like my classmates, they didn't really understand me. They didn't really want to talk to me because they thought I was too weird and too cuckoo in the head or something like that. Hmm? I know that feeling is like, I know that feeling is like Jill. That did happen to me before. Like, you'd be so exhausted and you're like, ugh, and you finally lay in bed. Oh yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And so, huh? Oh, what was that? Well, Shabby One, the interesting thing is that when I was younger, I did used to be like a very big Cartoon Network fan. Like I did used to watch the cartoons that were like pretty popular at the time. Like it was Dexter's Laboratory. I did and Johnny Bravo, Ed and Eddie, which was one of my favorites, and the Powerpuff Girls, which was my number one favorite. I was a huge Powerpuff Girls fan back in the day. I used to have everything of them, and I mean everything. I had the plushies. I had that little guitar thing where you press the button and it plays the guitar. And I did used to be what was the other one? It was some of the plushies that I had. They did talk, and wow, I just realized I had a whole collection of them. I even had like the VHS of the Monkey See, Doggy Do, and and I did have two DVDs. I didn't have the movie though, but I had like the other stuff. Yeah, but other than that, it was a blast. It was a total blast. Like y'all get what I'm saying? Hello there, Tiny. Ghost Hog. And basically, those days they were something. Cartoon emoji. Oh yeah, you know it. I was around during that time of the generation. That was, ooh, it was a blast. I used to wait until I get home from school because you know them classic cartoon Fridays. I used to be like, come on, hurry up and let this day end so I can head home and watch some cartoons. But you know, those were days. They were fun. But despite all that, even during that time, I did wanted to talk with some of the other students about like some other cartoons and stuff like that. But sadly, the other kids didn't understand me. They thought I was too weird. They thought I was too strange or too annoying or too much of an oddball. So they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to be my friend. They didn't want to, well, I guess hang out with the weird girl. It was something, I know. Oh, you bad, AG. Total Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon. Those are the days. Oh, yeah, and I did like Disney Channel as well, but I wasn't as into it as I was with Cartoon Network. But when Cartoon Network stopped airing those cartoons, I started to lose interest because they were showing like live action shows at the time, the shows that I didn't really care about. But it's okay. Those cartoons will still hold a special place in my heart, especially the Powerpuff Girls. They made my childhood so special. And during that time, I did used to see them as my sisters, but now I see them as my daughters. I hope my daughters act like them. But anyway, so the next thing is that uh oh yeah, and also during that time, the other kids they still didn't want to hang out with me, and basically what I did dealt with was them bullying me. Like they bullied me for being like for basically being myself. I was mostly bullied by girls than boys. There were a few boys who did bully me, but mostly it was the girls, and that's why I had a difficult time getting along with the girls at the time. They were like, "Oh, she's too weird," or "Oh, why she's acting like that," or "Oh, she's so stupid," and she like, "Oh, you this and that," and blah blah blah. Like y'all get what I'm saying? It was annoying, especially that one girl. That one girl, she used to get on my nerves. Is that she did this annoying thing where she used to pull my hair and thought that was funny. But during that time, I absolutely hated it because it felt like to me that she was pulling, like she was reaching for my brain and like pulling it. And during that time, it actually did really hurt. She thought it was so funny, but every time she did it, I used to get so mad. And I had to calm myself down during that time because I didn't want to seem like the troublemaker, even though she was the troublemaker. But that girl, she kept bullying me until around middle school. And during that time, middle school, that was when it was actually the worst because she kept going and kept bullying me for even for no reason, even when I'm just minding my own business. And of course, what was it? One time she pulled my hair and I got so mad because I was already not in a bad mood that day. And so I yelled at her and told her to stop it. But then her friends, I should say, her popular friends, thought it was funny, but it was not funny. It was actually overwhelming for me because during that time I was not in a good mood. I was very overwhelmed and stressed out because I already had to deal with the ignorance of people. But then, of course, you gotta have that one person who always has to make things worse for you. Like it is insane. Oh snap! I was going through the whole story and I didn't even read y'all comments. I am so sorry. Let's see. That is true, AG. They didn't understand at all. And let's see. Oh yeah, Tom and Jerry. I'll never forget Tom and Jerry. Those two are hilarious. It's hard to say which one's my favorite, but I like them both equally. And let's see. That would be cool if I did have three super daughters made with chemical X, but at the same time, I would be kind of worried because for their safety. Because I understand how the professor feels because since he is their dad, he has to make sure that they're safe because they are his kids after all. Who wouldn't want to protect their babies? Oh, you was mostly picked on by boys, AG? That's okay. I mostly was picked on by the girls. I don't know why they had a problem with me. The only boys who mostly bullied me were mostly the ones who were acting like they like me, but was just being complete jerkholes about it. And so they drove me up the wall too. Oh, like I remember this one boy, he did bully me like in elementary school at the time. And basically, he was best friends or might possibly be the cousin of that same girl who bullied me. And every time he was next to me, he always called out for her and tried to make her sit next to me. And I was like, oh God, don't start this, please. Because I could just be sitting there reading the book, minding my own business, and she just be a freak, you know? An annoying freak. And let's see, anything else? Oh, and another thing is that same girl who did bully me, she had a little brother, and her brother was actually nice to me, which was kind of interesting because I was like, huh, so her brother is nice to me, but she is not. It was very weird. And of course, the cousin being a jerk to me, but eh. And let's see, anything else? Oh, was that Tiny Chipmunk? Uh, Thank you, Tiny Chipmunk. Everybody during that time didn't understand me, so they thought I was just weird and annoying when actually they were weird and annoying. And oh, middle school? Oh, yeah, middle school, it was actually the worst, especially for me. Like, I'll never forget that one time. It was this one time the teacher wasn't in the room. It was basically the music room. And so everybody in there was acting like a total fool. And I mean, an absolute fool. They kept moving the chairs around, screaming and making loud noises and turning the lights on and off, on and off. And that was like the worst day for me because basically I was so overwhelmed that it stressed me out that I just closed my eyes. I kept covering my ears because it was way too much for me. It was like a sensory overload moment. But luckily, there was a what's it called? Those uh that lady who walks around. She's like a guard in a way. I think like a guard or something like that. She came in just in time to tell the students to calm their tails down and to sit their butts down. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, finally, thank you, because it was finally over because that was the worst. Those kids were acting like total fools that it drove me insane. It was the biggest sensory overload moment that I have ever had, and I could not stand it one bit. They drove me off the wall, if y'all get what I'm saying. And let's see. Oh, what was that? Let's see. Uh, don't worry, AG. I understand how you feel. There were times where I did want to beat up some kids for who got on my nerves, but I had to calm myself down and remind myself, okay, don't do it because if you do get in trouble, then there's gonna be issues. And it's kind of weird too. Have you guys noticed that whenever one person who bullies one person, for some reason, the person who stands up for themselves are the ones that get in trouble, but not the bully? They get off scot free. It's like, what type of irony bullcrap is that? So basically, you're telling me to suck it up and let that person bully me just because? That's just weird. Very weird. Like, y'all get it? It's very weird. And let's see. And what else? Oh yeah, and so oh yeah, and speaking of that, now that you mentioned teachers, AG, that's a good idea. So the teachers, some of them had a good bond with me, and the other ones, a few of the other ones, not really. Is that sometimes there are some teachers that I had who were mean to me for no reason, even when I'm just minding my own business. Like I think this one time, this one teacher, she was telling us like how to do. It was in elementary school, by the way. She was teaching us like how to spell some words, and I was doing the same thing like everybody else is doing. But for some reason, she came up to my face and was like yelling at me in my ear, and I was like, "What did I do? I didn't do anything. I was basically doing everything that she said and to do what the other students do. But then all of a sudden, you come up to my face and start screaming at me for no reason. And I was like, where the heck did you come from? It was very weird. It was very weird. And of course, despite all that, I still managed to stay strong and just continue doing what I was doing. Like, sure, I dealt with bullies and some mean teachers, but I still kept my head up and still stayed strong. And that's what makes me proud. Let's see. That is true. There are some times where teachers feel like they just don't want to do anything and just let the problems happen. and what else? Uh, that is true, especially when it comes to the students who are like rich. Like not all of them, but a few of them. There'd be a few rich kids who think they can get away with everything because basically their parents allows them to do this and that and don't want to deal with their crap, so they just give them money. Like that was, I don't know. And oh, speaking of that, Zero, that's a good point. So speaking of that, I never got detention, but I did went into I forgot what it was called. It was this room where like if you came in like late, and this was in high school. I think it was way before I met AG. It was actually in that room. It was so peaceful in there that I feel like I didn't want to leave. But then by the time the school starts, then we had to go to the classrooms, and I was pretty sad because then I had to go back to those classrooms and deal with, well, the students in high school, they weren't too bad. They wasn't as annoying as the ones in high school, but they did have their few moments where they were annoying. Just a few, but not entirely. And so, let's see, anything else? Oh, that one time when you you see that, AG? That is a bull crap thing, is that when it comes to us getting detention for no reason, especially if we answer the questions correctly, they really think that we're like a smarty pants, but we're like, no, we just know because we learned. But some teachers act like some students are like a smarty pants simply just because they know some of the answers or know all the answers. It's like, wow, that's an unfair treatment. Oh, sorry, that was the neighbors. Okay. So let's see. Oh, what was that, Sega Sonic? Oh, Pop-Up Girl Z. I watched one episode of that, but then I stopped because I lost interest. It didn't feel the same as the original Pop-Up Girls. I got to admit, the art style is pretty cute. It's pretty cute, but it's not like it's action packed as the original OG series. The OG series will still have a special place in my heart for making my childhood special. And let's see anything else. No worries, AG. I never get tired of your stories. They always be very interesting. We hear each other's stories a lot, and they do be pretty fun. And Zero, you're right. I never got detention either, but of course, it'd be pretty fun when it comes. Well, not detention, not detention. I meant to say. Okay, I messed up. I'm sorry. I messed up. I totally messed up. I am so sorry. And just forget what I said. And let's see. Oh yes, and don't worry, AG. I'll get to that part from the day we met. And so, and so, and so. Let's see. Anything else? Let's see. Oh yeah. Speaking of that. This when I was watching the series again called The Proud Family, it reminds me of those days when I dealt with fake friends, and this is very important. So here's the thing. Fake friends, they always try to act like they're your friend when actually they do the shadiest crap that leads you like in the vulnerable spots for you to get in trouble or this and that. And so basically, I did have fake friends who basically pretended to be my friend when there were times where they be actually bullying me too. Is that I was friends with this one girl who was I don't know if I consider her a friend or not because there were times where she did get on my nerves. Well, actually, two of them actually. So this one girl, she pretended to be my friend, and she basically liked to make fun of me like over anything I do. Like if I'm listening to like let's say music from Michael Jackson, she makes fun of me. If I watch anything that's related to like cartoons, she makes fun of me. And then even if I'm sitting there doing nothing, she still makes fun of me. I was like, what do you want me to do? You're just gonna make fun of me over everything I do? And then this other girl, the first time I met her, it was back in like elementary school. She was new at the time, and she didn't speak English too well because she mostly speak like I think French or Creole or something like that, like Haitian Creole. And so during that time, I did get along with her when I started talking to her. But then once we hit middle school, that's when things changed. She really did change. Is that she stopped talking to me, she stopped hanging out with me, and then she started becoming friends with the other girl who I don't know if she's still close with to this day, but I could care less about what she's doing because she don't matter in my life anymore. Is that she started hanging out with this other girl. I did say hi to her once, but then she just ignored me and didn't say anything to me. So my first thought was like, whatever, I guess. So then I stopped talking to her and I didn't say anything to her since. I don't know if she still lives around the neighborhood block as I still do to this day. I haven't seen her in years, but it's whatever. All I can say is whatever. Yep, we all can agree, AG. People have been asking who is the worst friend in Penny's group. Some people say La Cienega or Dijonay, but the thing about La Cienega and her, they're not really like friends. They're more like frenemies. So with them, it's kind of understandable because those two never liked each other since day one. So basically, they're like frenemies. Well, at first they started off as enemies, but then they slowly started to act like friends who still hang out, but friends who hate each other. So basically, they are like frenemies. And as for Zoe, she's like the least toxic member of the group, but there are times where she actually does follow Dijonay and La Cienega and leaving Penny behind because basically she's like one of those peer pressure kids who wants to like follow behind the cool crowd and wants to be cool. And that's the only downside about her. And as for Dijonay, her and Dijonay, that girl's a mess. DJ basically, she's like that fake friend who always act like they got your back, but then they leave you hanging in the worst moments. And basically, I did have friends who acted just like DJ, and that was not cool. That was not cool at all. And basically, I don't think I ever had friends who acted like Zoe, but I think one time maybe I did, but then I don't know. I kind of don't remember. It's been so long that I kind of forgot. So basically, during those years, I didn't really have the good friends during that time. But then I think around my sophomore year, I think it was sophomore. No, I think it was junior. I think. Yeah, I think it was around the junior year in high school. That's where I met somebody special for the first time. And our very first conversation was basically about the Powerpuff Girls and about their evil counterparts, the Power Punk Girls. If you guys remember that comic book Deja Vu. Wait, yeah, I think I was a sophomore at the time. I think. And that's where I met AG. Our friendship basically clicked. Well, it did start off at the time when we was talking to like some random kids at the time. But way before I started talking to her, I did saw her walking around, and I was like, "Huh, there's the adorable little girl who's walking around with a cute little rolling backpack." And it was yellow. I think if I remember, I think it was yellow. And I thought she was so adorable, and I did want to talk to her, but due to the experiences I had with fake friends, I had a difficult time trying to say something to her. So yeah, it was difficult. But then that one day, when we started talking to those random people, they left because I think their parents came to pick them up. We started to click. We got along really well. We started sharing things in common. It was like a connection. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the first time I actually felt a connection with someone. Like, what's going on here? That's how I felt in my head. And once our friendship started to click, we became as close as sisters. And we still best friends to this day. And you know what? I don't know what I would do if I never met AG during that time, like all the way back in high school. Like, who knows what I'll do. But look at us now. We're still besties and little sisters, big little sisters. That was a tongue twister. Darn it. But one thing that made me so impressed is about the fact that both of us are on the spectrum and we share that in common. I guess that's why our friendship clicked. It's like our brains were connecting. And we didn't care what others say. We just continued doing what we was doing. We talked about cartoons. We did this. We did that. We had fun. And we didn't care what anyone head. And of course, during that time, I did make her feel better when that one infamous incident with the. I don't know if she's okay with explaining this, but I'm pretty sure you guys heard of this. Like during that time, she did dated someone in high school, and that guy was too immature. But bleh, he was too immature anyway. And look at her; she got a better person now. Just gotta keep your head up high, keep smiling, be yourself, and then boom, you'll find the right person. Which I am so still proud of her to this day for. Oh yes, we remember that day like yesterday. But it's okay, AG. He was too immature for you anyway. Because I learned the hard way because sure, I never had a good oh. Now that's a good moment. Okay, so here's the thing. My experiences with romance was very, very, very difficult. And so let's see. The very first time I actually dealt with romance, well, basically, this is pretty uncommon. Like when we all were kids, it's like when we see like a certain character, we kind of like have a crush on them. Like whether it's live action or cartoon or something like that. I didn't really have too many crushes growing up, but I do remember when I was watching Ed and Eddie, I did had a bit of a small crush on Double D. My mom thought I liked Kevin, but I was like, ew, no, I like Double D. It was so funny. And yes, I guess during that time I realized I like the nerdy guys. Because basically I'm a nerd myself. Like Ed is cool and all, but he has a very bad stench. But I do like his kindness though. But man, he needs a bath. And as for Eddie, he's a cool guy too, but he's way too hot headed and loud and too aggressive and a bit violent sometimes. So that was a big no no. Just a big no no. And so Double D was the one who I did had a crush on. That is true, AG. Like if we were kids in the cul-de-sac and if we were friends with the ads, that would that would be a cute ship. Me and the Double D. Oh, Marie. And I can't say too much about the Kanker sisters because they basically, I think they were one of the few characters in the show that I didn't really have a funny moment with, especially with the like with Naz. But at the same time, the creator actually did say that those three Kanker sisters were based off of the three girls, like back in like I think it was like sixth grade or something like that. The ones who always like going around talking about boys and wanting to kiss them and this and that. It was yeah. Some people do experience things in a different way, and sometimes you're like, what in the world is going on? Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, totally. We would totally, and we would get along with the ads really well. I think the only one I would have a bit of a frenemy friendship with is with Eddie. He'll basically he'll be like that friend who I would get along with, but sometimes not get along with, like on and off friendship. As for Ed, I will get along with him pretty well. I think the only thing I would not like about him is his smell. Like the bad hygiene. It's bad, like really bad. But that would lead to a lot of funny moments though, where I'm like, oh my gosh, them funky pits. Not the pits. That's right, Sega Sonic. That song is iconic, and I still sing that song in my head to this day. I love the end credits theme song, and I did like that song from that one album from the Powerpuff Girls called the Chemical X, and I'm a Supergirl. But Chemical X is my favorite. That's my favorite song. It basically reminds me of those classic Cheetah Girls type of music. I forgot which group it was that sang that song, but that song is iconic. That's basically what he is, AG. He smells so bad that it's horrible. But it's so funny. Ed needs to go take a shower. But then again, he bathes in a tub of gravy. Pretty gross, but funny. let's see, and let's see. There were some other shows that I did like, but well, the other shows from Cartoon Network that I didn't really pay much attention to was Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, Sheep in the Big City. I didn't really pay attention to those. Oh, and Time Squad, I didn't really pay attention to those. That's true, AG. That would give me a chance. And we both share one thing in common. We both don't like Ed's hygiene, and we're both neat freaks. Wow, we share a lot in common. I just realized that. We did share a lot in common. And some people made an interesting theory that they believe Double D might have OCD because he likes everything to be all neat and clean. He makes sure everything is in order. And he has a very, well, if you guys know what OCD means, or if you don't know, you guys can go check it out. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, we sure did. It's like the Powerpuff Girls are the start of the friendship. Oh, and also, speaking of the Powerpuff Girls, my favorite did used to be Buttercup when I was younger, but now that I'm older, I feel a bit more connected to Blossom. Like I think, yeah, I think I'm starting to be more connected with Blossom. And I do feel bad for her because she's like the least favorite out of the Powerpuff Girls. Because people usually say who is their favorite. They usually say Bubbles is the favorite or Buttercup's the favorite. But as for Blossom, not so much. I can kind of understand why because there are times where she's a little bossy, but she has to be a leader for a reason. Because after all, she's got like the personality of like the oldest sibling, like the oldest triplet siblings. I just realized the Powerpuff Girls are triplets because they were born at the same time. It does make sense. And let's see. Oh yes, that Halloween cosplay was so much fun. I dressed up as Bliss from that Powerpuff Girls reboot 2016 reboot. Even though the reboot is I don't really like it, but I do like Bliss though. Oh yeah, that is true. Buttercup is basically like the personality of the middle child, and Bubbles is basically the youngest child. It makes a whole lot of sense now when I think about it because they do have the personality traits of like the oldest, the middle, and the youngest. It does make a lot of sense though. And in that one episode, actually no. People have been asking this very interesting question for why the professor created the Pop-Up Girls. Well, the answer is because he wanted a family. He just simply wanted kids. That's all. Yes, Tiny Chipmunk. They're born at, all together, and their age, if I remember correctly, they were 5 years old at the start of the series, but then I think around season 2, when the birthday bash episode, they turned 6. And basically, yeah, they're 6 years old. 5 when the series started, but then the birthday episode, they turned 6. So you got it right, Tiny Chipmunk. Ooh, that's right, AG. People totally recognized me. They were like, oh my gosh, it's Bliss. She's always blissful. I still love Bliss, by the way. Yes, I remember the Powerpuff Girls movie. I loved that movie too as a kid. And people have been wondering if the movie's a little too violent. Well, I could say, well, the series has always been violence when the series started. Like, you guys know those action scenes where they did have blood and, giving characters like a black eye and ripping things apart, ripping, all the violence and stuff. Despite their age, they were pretty violent when it comes to like fighting crime. But it's okay though. It basically was since during that time, superheroes was like a very big thing at the time, and somebody made an interesting joke on YouTube, I think a long time ago, when they showed that clip with the Powerpuff Girls in the movie when they were playing tag. Someone basically said the Powerpuff Girls are basically what if Superman had kids. And I was like, you know what? Maybe they could work as Superman's assistants. or like his nieces in a way. And they did do an interesting crossover in that one video game where the Powerpuff Girls they did fought along with Superman, and you hear them say very interesting quotes like Bubbles. She says, "We're friends with Superman now," like she was fangirling over him. But then Buttercup was like, "I always thought Superman was kind of dorky, but he's pretty cool for a dork." I was like, Buttercup, you don't like dorks? What's wrong with dorks? It was funny, but it was pretty cute. Let's see, episode where they couldn't join in a superhero team. That is true. And the Powerpuff Girls basically they did break the "it's a girls show" thing because during that time the boys were a little too embarrassed to watch the series because the three main characters were girls. But they did have a lot of violence. It had a lot of violence and a lot of action stuff that the boys can enjoy as well. Sure, it did had a few girly moments, but you got to understand they are kids, so of course there's going to be girly moments. It makes a whole lot of sense, people. Because then again, the Rowdy Rough Boys, what to say about them? They were really cool villains, and the one thing that's interesting about them is that they basically were one of the fewer villains that the girls cannot defeat in combat. And that actually proves to me like a very interesting thing I notice about superheroes is that they can easily beat anybody who's like normal, like who doesn't have superpowers or anything like that. But then when they fight against somebody who has the same powers or like have a same level of power just like them, then they have a difficult time defeating them because basically it's power versus power. But the interesting thing is that basically the boys they basically were they're basically stronger and tougher than the girls, which does make sense. Yeah, let's see. It's okay, AG. I really didn't have good luck with boys either, especially the ones who did bully me like back in elementary school. But don't worry, I'll get into that romance part in a bit. And that would be cool if they did because it would be like an interesting spin-off to see like what it would be like from like their point of view. And let's see, I lost my train of thought already. Oh, and Mojo. It was interesting that Mojo was trying to find the ingredients to see how to create like his own version of the Powerpuff Girls, but he realized that the ingredients that the professor used were a little too girly, which does make sense. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. That does sound girly. So then he decided to. Create like what are little boys made of? And I remember, I think it was high school or middle school, something like that, where this one book did say what a boy's made of, what a girl's made of. And on the girl's part, it said sugar, spice, and everything nice. But then on the boy's part, it said snips, snails, and puppy dog tails. And I was like, oh, so that's what they're made of? And the Powerpuff Girls showed me what snips, snails, and puppy dog tails look like. It was pretty gross, but it was kind of interesting. The toilet part, that's going to throw up. That's going to make me throw up. Anyway. Okay, it was funny, but gross. And nobody's gonna cut your dog's tail. Nobody's gonna cut my dog's tail either. None of that. None of that. That's hilarious. That is true when they did do that one episode of the Rowdy Rough Boys. I kind of wish there was more about them because the other villains in the show were pretty interesting, but then the Rowdy Rough Boys, they didn't really get too much, but they did have some episodes, but not too much. And you know what, Tiny Chipmunk? I actually did used to too, but at an older age, I don't know, but it could still work in some ways when I did ship them. But I'm starting to slowly ship the Rowdy Rough Boys with the Power Punk Girls more. I think it's because since they're evil. Well, duh, of course. And yes, Princess Morbucks. I used to not like her when I was little because basically she reminds me of those mean rich girls who got on my nerves. And and at first I thought the girls were kind of a little mean to her about like not trying to let her join their team, but I can understand why as an adult because basically she thinks she should have anything she wants and she wants to basically be a powerful girl simply because of being rich and powerful and all that stuff. But the girls basically trying to tell her that there's more to being a superhero than just being popular or powerful. It's basically like what those other superheroes are basically trying to tell us. They're using their superpowers for good. And they're trying to make sure to be extra careful with them because sometimes their powers can come with a risk, especially when you can't control them. Like when you're I think powers can be related to emotions too. That would be kind of interesting. Yes, Ed and Eddie's Big Picture Show. That was a very, very good movie. Like, very, very good movie. It did make me emotional too, and at the same time, well, actually, it did make me emotional because it's basically saying goodbye to the Eds as they enjoy their life. And I'm glad the series ended for how it did because when a series goes on for too long, they start to lose their quality, like that same quality that they had since the beginning. You can check it out, AG, if you have time, that is. It's a pretty good movie. And for the first time in that movie, we see Eddie's brother. His name is unknown, but we just call him Eddie's brother or just brother. And let's see. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry, guys. So, my difficulties with romance. So, here's the thing. During my time when I was younger, I didn't really have a very good luck with romance, and basically, I got rejected, I got ignored, and the details that I won't say because it's too much. And I don't know what YouTube would do to me if I said that. And so, but I did have experiences with kissing though. But those kissings that I had, they were not good. They were terrible. I think it's because the kissing didn't come for the person that I was not like romantically interested in, and it was bleh. It was disgusting. But I was young and immature, so sorry guys. That's how I am. Wait, what am I saying sorry for? I did it. Uh, Hold on 1 second, guys. Phone call. You guys can continue while I answer a phone call. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. That was a little commercial break. I should have played a little music for that, but I don't know how to do it yet. I'm still new to this whole streaming thing. But anyway, so butter toast. That's what Ed used to say. Butter toast. Oh my gosh, I did that laugh. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway. So what was I saying before? The romance. Okay. So the romance, they basically was not very good. And I remember this I think in elementary school, the first time I got rejected, well, I got rejected twice. The first time I got rejected was by this one boy who I had a crush on, and he rejected me. And I was like, okay, whatever. And the second time, this guy rejected me because he had a quote unquote girlfriend at the time, quote unquote. And so during that time in elementary school, I didn't bother with romance specifically. And in middle school was the first time I started dating. And but that guy who I was dating, I started to realize I only dated him because of the peer pressure from others. And so it wasn't based off of romantic feelings. It was basically out of peer pressure feelings. Luckily, I did the next best thing is to break up with him because I didn't want to break his heart for telling him the truth that I didn't really like love him. It was like peer pressure to you to loving me. But that was the only time I dealt with dating. The closest and the only thing I dealt with dating from that time. And I did had another crush on another boy, but he was mean to me and bullied me. He even roll time. What the heck? What the heck was roll time? Even one time he wrote on the board and said that I was like not attractive or not pretty or ugly and something like that. And I didn't know what his problem was, so I decided not to deal with his foolishness. So basically, I just ignored him. But I think in that one high school that I was almost about to go to, he was a complete jerkhole to me still, and so I'm glad I never saw him again once I went to a different high school, the same one where I met AG. And so, yeah, I don't know what he's doing now, but I don't want anything to do with him. And let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, in high school, I got rejected twice again. Is that the one time this one boy, I don't know what he was doing. He even though he had a girlfriend, he kept looking at me from the distance in the classroom. Uh and one time I did try to confess my feelings to him, but he was like, "Nope, sorry, I'm with someone else." And I was like, "Okay." And the second one, um, I during lunchtime, I think around like lunchtime, we was on our way to the cafeteria. I told him, "Is there anybody that he likes?" And he said someone else, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? Forget this crap." And so after that, during that time in high school, I stopped having crushes during that time. Even to this day, I control myself when having crushes. And so I decided to not deal with anything with romance for a while until the right one falls for me first. Because they say romance always comes when that other person falls for you first. And as for recent, I would tell you guys, but it's too much. So sorry, guys. There's always another time, though. But other than that, I still come off pretty strong, even during that time growing up as a neurodivergent and being treated differently and being seen differently. But I still kept my head up and continued to stay strong. That's all right, Super Vector. And I'm not really good at romance either, so I don't really like talking about it either. But other than that, I'm still pretty strong, keeping my head strong. And that's always a good thing. And if anybody else don't see that, oh well. But it's okay. Love you very much, AG. Love you very much too. But other than that, I still am proud of who I am, and it was thanks to like the series that I've been watching, like My Hero Academia. I started writing since high school, and I still have a high I still have a good time when it comes to writing, even though it's kind of difficult sometimes because I get distracted by other things or other things get in the way, like, IRL stuff. But other than that, I still continue writing because I'm deeply passionate about it. And I hope my series, like my book series, becomes a success. Not to the Hollywood, though, but to like the independent studios who are looking to create like very good and inspirational things. But you know what, guys? If there's any advice that you need when it comes to writing, I'm always around because that's what it takes to become a writer. You got to put your heart and passion into it. Especially when you're like doing music or like doing short stories or anything like that, or in video games. Always put your heart and passion into it. And so there's one last thing I do want to add in before I do go for today, since I do want to finish this story I'm doing, is that growing up as a neurodivergent, yes, it can be tough, but you still got to keep your head up and keep your head strong. And whenever there's moments or things that like overloading you, you always have something that can help keep you calm, like meditation or like music, or you could just simply just wear headphones in your ears and block out the noises around you because it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming for me too. And continue being yourself no matter what anyone says. If anybody else is neurodivergent agree with me, thank you so much. All of you wonderful neurodivergent people, you guys are so wonderful and you're so strong and you're absolutely beautiful inside and out, both boys and girls. You guys are absolutely beautiful inside and out. And don't let anybody, and I mean anybody, tell you otherwise. Everybody else got that? Well, even yourself, but still, like your own, like, you know, your own thoughts, like sometimes fight with you, which does happen with me a lot. Sometimes my own thoughts fight with me. They're like, oh, you're pretty, or oh, you're not pretty, or yes, you are, no, you're not, yes, you are, no, you're not. It does happen. But it's cool. Hey there, Jaden. But other than that, hope you guys continue to stay strong and be proud of who you are. And I always have more stories to come, like when it comes to growing up as like a neurodivergent. But the other stories I will share, they will be coming soon. The ones that I have in mind. But other than that, I'm so proud of you, beautiful neurodivergent people, and those neurotypicals who were very patient with them and helped them like surpass like their difficulties and help them stay strong and this and that. Super proud of you guys. Stay strong, be happy, and remember, buzzing folks, always be yourself. Smile and stay cool. All right, everyone. So I got to get going because the story I'm doing, I got to focus on it right now. I've been doing it for months. Well, actually, 2 months, actually. No, a month, actually. Tongue twister. But other than that, hope you guys will continue being yourselves, be proud of yourselves, and be who you are. And what's my catchphrase? Yeah, it was see you soon. It was see you soon, buzzing folks. Stay strong. Bye, buzzing folks.